Hi everyone. Hope you all are good. We are here for grade 7 math. So you can find all the lessons on aplusstudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password is provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab. Scroll down to grade 7 and then click on view all lessons. So there you can find a list of the chapters. We're going to start with the chapter integers. So please make sure you have your notebook and pencil so that you can note down the important examples and definitions as well. So let's just start with first we are going to understand what are the integers, right? So we're going to start with the lesson that is understand integers. So just listen to me carefully. I'm going to explain how do we understand integers. So just listen to me carefully, right? Okay. Okay. So just listen to me carefully, right? Okay, so sometimes you have scenarios like this. An increase, for example, you have a scenario, you have to represent an increase in temperature 3 degrees, right? So here you have to represent an increase, right? So in math we're working on the numbers, right? So how do we represent the increases, right? Increase or gain, for example. So whenever we have to represent an increase or gain, something like this, you always use a positive number. Basically what integer is, the basic definition of the integer is, you can note down this. The integers are positive and negative numbers, right? That you can note down the definition of the integers. I'm going to write it on the board. Then we'll discuss about increase or decrease, right? First of all, we're going to learn the definition of the integers. So what are integers? Integers is a set of number comprising zero. That means zero is also an integer, right? Comprising zero, positive numbers and negative numbers, right? So that means they are 0, positive 1, positive 2, positive 3, and then negative 1, negative 2, and negative 3. So on the right hand side of the 0, you have all positive numbers, right? And on the left hand side of the 0, you have all negative numbers. So as positive numbers are increasing, the numbers are increasing one by one, right? Each next number is greater than the previous one, right? That means after 4, you have 5. 5 is greater than 4. Then you have 6. 6 is greater than 5. But on the other side, as you are moving far from 0, the numbers are getting smaller and smaller. Negative 6 is less than negative 5. Each next number on the left hand side is less than the previous one, right? So this is the very basic definition of the integers. So you can note down the definition. I'll wait for a while. So why we need integers? So that's the thing I'm explaining. Sometimes you have to represent an increase or gain, right? Sometimes you represent a decrease or loss. So whenever you have to represent an increase or gain, you always use a positive numbers, right? And whenever you have to represent a decrease or loss, you can use the negative numbers, right? For example, we have a scenario 100-pound increase in weight. So how that is an increase? How do we represent increases? Increases are always represented by the positive numbers, right? And whenever you have a decrease, you can represent the decrease by a negative number, right? Okay, let's just go to the lesson. Okay, here is the lesson understanding integer. So let's just look at the examples. Okay, which integer represent this scenario, right? The example is removing 8 plates from a stack. So is it a positive number or a negative number? You are removing something, right? That means that would be a negative 8. That you represent this scenario by a negative number, right? So that is negative 8. Very good. Which integer represents the scenario 1 gallon increase in volume? So which is the correct option? Increases are always represented by the positive number, so it would be positive 1. Which integer, which integer represents the scenario $4 price reduction? Is it positive 4 or negative 4? Reduction it is, right? So reductions, decreases or loss, they are always represented by the negative numbers. So that would be a negative 4. $4 price reduction would be a negative 4. <clears throat> 3 degrees warmer than yesterday. So which is the correct option? 3 degrees warmer, right? That means the temperature is increasing, right? So increases are always represented by the positive number. So it would be positive 3. A puppy grows 2 centimeter longer. So which is the correct option? Longer, that is an increase in his height, right? So that means increases are always represented by the positive numbers. So it would be positive 2, right? The correct option is positive 2. Removing 5 cars from a train. So which is the correct option? Removing, right? That means that is a decrease. So decreases are always represented by the negative number. So it would be negative 5, right? $9 discount. So which is the correct option? $9 discount. Discount means the price would be reduced then, right? That means that it would be represented by the negative number. That would be -9, right? Eight degrees above zero, which is the correct option? 8 degrees above, right? That means you have to add 8 to 0, right? So it would be +8. It would be an increase. You are adding, that would be an increase. So that would be +8. 10 pound increase in weight. So which is the correct option? Increases are always, yes, positive. So it would be +10. Very good. Losing 3 buttons off to your jacket. So which is the correct option? That's a loss, right? And the loss is always negative. So it would be -3, right? Okay, you can just complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let's just start with the next lesson. The next lesson is absolute value and positive integers. So I'm going to explain what are the absolute values. So you can even note down the definition. The lesson is absolute value and opposite integers. Absolute values and negative integers. So let's just see what are the absolute values, right? Okay. So the absolute value is the non-negative value or x without regard to its sign. You can note down the definition. The absolute value the absolute value, or you can write it like x, right? We can represent absolute value like this, is the non-negative. Non-negative means always the value is positive. Non-negative value of x without regard of its sign. You don't have to write the sign, right? Without regard to its sign. For example, you have to find the absolute value of -6. That would be always 6, right? The absolute value of 5 is 5, right? And the absolute value of -5 is also 5, right? That is the definition of the absolute value. You can note down the definition. I'll wait for a while. Okay, let's just start with the examples. Okay. Absolute values and opposite integers. Opposite means the opposite, right? If you are given a positive number, the opposite is negative. If you are given a negative number, the opposite would be positive, right? Okay, let's just look at the examples. What is the opposite of 6? Opposite means the integer that is same distance from 0 but in the opposite direction. For example, you are given the negative 6, so you can understand it like this. Okay, for example, here you are on number line, right? Here you have 0, here you have negative 6. So the opposite would be on the other side of the 0, exactly the same distance. So it would be 6. The distance you covered from here to here is exactly the same distance from here to here. So the opposite value of 6 is negative 6, and for negative 6 it is 6, right? Okay, the next one is what is the opposite of 1? So opposite of 1 is, yes, it is negative 1, right? So opposite of 1 is negative 1. Okay, the other example is what is the absolute value of 2? So the absolute values are always the positive value. So absolute value of 2 is 2, right? Let's just start with the practice questions. What is the opposite of 1? Which is the correct option? Yes, opposite of 1 is negative 1, right? That would be negative 1. What is the opposite of negative 5? So which is the correct option? Opposite of negative 5 is the same value on the other side with the other side of the 0, right? So negative 5 would be on the left hand side of the 0. So on the right hand side, the same distance value is 5. So the correct option is 5. Okay. What is the opposite of negative 8? So which is the correct option? The opposite of negative 8 is, yes, it is positive 8. So the correct option is 8. What is the opposite of 4? So which is the correct option? Opposite of 4 is, that would be negative 4. The correct option is negative 4. What is the opposite of negative 10? So which is the correct option? Yes, opposite of negative 10 is positive 10. Very good. What is the opposite of 6? So which is the correct option? Yes, the opposite of 6 is, very good, that would be negative 6. So the correct option is negative 6. What is the absolute value of 5? Now we are going to start with absolute value. So the absolute value of 5 is, Yes, the absolute value of 5 is 5. Basically, the absolute values are the non-negative values. So for 5, it is 5, right? What is the opposite of 6? So which is the correct option? Opposite of 6 is, yes, that is negative 6. So the correct option is negative 6. What is the opposite of 1? Which is the correct option? Yes, opposite of 1 is negative 1. It is negative 1. Very good. What is the absolute? Basically, this is the sign of the absolute value. So what is the absolute value of 7? Yes, the absolute value of 7 is negative 7. It is, sorry, the absolute value of 7 is, it is 7, right? Okay, you can complete the test by yourself later today. Let's just move on to next lesson. And the next lesson is integer inequalities with absolute values. So how do we solve the inequalities using absolute values? So let's just start with the lesson. Let me just write down the lesson name on board. Okay, so basically we're going to learn how do we solve the inequalities using with absolute values, right? For example, you have an inequality that is negative 1, and you have to put a sign over here, either less, greater, or equal, right? So which sign makes the statement true? Absolute value of negative 1 and negative 3. So which is the correct option? Absolute values are always positive values, right? So the absolute value of negative 1 is 1. So you have to compare 1 and negative 3. So positive values are always greater than negative values. So 1 is greater than negative 3. 1 is greater than negative 3, right? Okay, let's just do more examples. Okay, you have 8. You have to compare it to the absolute value of negative 4. So which is the correct option? Yes, just calculate the absolute value, that is 4. You have to compare 8 and 4. So which is the correct option? Yes, 8 is greater than 4. So the correct option is greater, right? Okay, the other example is you have to compare absolute value of 8 and 0. So which is the correct option? Are they greater, less, or equal? Yes, they are. 8 is greater than 0 because the absolute value of 8 is 8, so 8 is greater than 0, right? Let's just start with the practice questions. Here it is. Let's just start with the practice questions. Which sign makes the statement true? Negative 5 and absolute value of negative 5. So, which is the correct option? Yes, the correct option is absolute value of negative 5 is positive 5, right? So, you have negative 5 here. Negative 5 is less than 5, right? Okay. Which sign makes the statement true? Negative 4, and you have to compare it to absolute value of negative 6. So, which is the correct option? Absolute value of negative 6 is positive 6, right? But here you already have negative 4. So, negative values are always less than the positive values. So, that means negative 4 is less than absolute value of 6. It is less than 6. 7, and you have to compare it to absolute value of negative 7. So, which is the correct option? Yes, it is exactly equal because the negative absolute value of negative 7 is 7. So, they both are exactly equal, right? Negative value, and you have to compare it to absolute value of 0. So, which is the correct option? Absolute value of 0 means 0, right? So, negative values are less than 0. So, negative 2 is less than 0. Yes, very good. Option number 1 is the correct option. 8. Which sign makes the statement true? 8, and you have to compare it to absolute value of negative 4. So, which is the correct option? The absolute value of negative 4 is positive, right? That means you have to compare 8 and 4. So, 8 is greater than 4. Which sign makes the statement true? Absolute value of 3, and you have to compare it to 0. So, which is the correct option? Absolute value of 3 is 3, and 3 is greater than 0. 4 and absolute value of 4. Yes, they both are exactly equal. absolute value of negative 1 and you have to compare it to negative 3. So which is the correct option? Yes, the absolute value of negative 1 is always positive. So the positive numbers are always greater than negative numbers. So it would be greater than 1 is greater than negative 3. Okay, absolute value of 9 and you have to compare it to negative 9. So which is the correct option? Yes, the absolute value of 9 is 9, right? And 9 is greater than negative 9. So that would be very good, greater. Okay, absolute value of negative 2 and 3 you have to compare. So which is the correct option? Absolute value of negative 3 is 3, right? Absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2 and positive 2 is less than 3. So the correct option is less than 3 it is. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let's just move on to next lesson, and I think the next one is how to comparing teachers on number line. Not sure in teachers on number line, right? So let me just explain the number line. This is very easy. You just have to understand. In teachers on number line, I have already explained, but let me just explain again. Just listen to me carefully. Okay, so here is the number line. You have 0 in the middle of the number line. On the right hand side of the number line, you have all positive numbers. Either you write them with positive sign or without positive sign. They both are exactly same, right? On the left hand side, you have all negative numbers, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 3. And the negative numbers are less than 0, right? And the positive numbers are greater than 0. So as you are moving far from 0 on the right hand side, the numbers are getting greater and greater, right? The next one is 5. 5 is greater than 4. Then you have 6. 6 is greater than 5. So each next number is greater than the previous one on the positive side. Opposite on the numbers on the negative side, each next number is less than the previous one. That means as you are moving far from 0, the numbers are getting smaller and smaller, right? After negative 5, you have negative 6. So negative 6 is less than negative 5. As you are moving far from 0, the numbers are getting smaller and smaller. And the very important thing, negative numbers are always less than the positive numbers, right? Let's just do the practice questions from the lesson. Okay, type the missing number. Just look at the number line. Here you have negative 1, 0, 2, 3, 4. So which number is between 0 and 2? Between 0 and 2, that would be 1. So that means here you have 1. The missing number is 1. Let's just start with the practice questions. Okay, type the missing number. Negative 1, 0, 1, 2. So which number is missing? Yes, that would be 3 that is missing. Between 2 and 4, you have 3 here. So that means 3 is missing. Okay, sorry, I forgot to select 3. Type the missing number. So which number is missing? On the right hand side, the number that is missing is between 6 and 8. So which number is missing? Between 6 and 8 we have, yes, 7. That means the 7 is missing, right? Okay, type the missing number. So which number is missing between 0 and 2? Yes, between 0 and 2 you have the missing number is, very good, that is 1. Okay, type the missing number. So which number is missing between -3 and -1? Yes, very good. That means the missing number is -2, because between -3 and -1 you have -2. Okay, so type the missing number. So which number is missing? Very good. That would be 2. Okay, type the missing number. So which number is missing? Yes, that would be -3 is missing. So it is -3. Okay, type the missing number. So which number is missing? Yes, the missing number is -4, right? Type the missing number. So which number is missing? Yes, that is 5. Type the missing number. So which number is missing? Yes, that would be -5. Type the missing number. So which number is missing? Yes, it would be -6. Between -5 and -7, you have -6. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. So, we were working on grade 7 math. The chapter we're working on is integers. The lessons we have covered today are understanding integers, absolute value and opposite values, integer inequalities with absolute value, and integers on number lines. So that's it. You have to complete the practice questions for all the lessons we did today. That's your homework for today, right? So please make sure before the next session you can complete your homework, right? If you have any question related to the lesson we just did, you can ask question. I'm here to answer all your questions and confusions if you have any. So please make sure before the next session you can complete your homework. So if you need more help with the lesson, you can either contact any tutor on the Skype. They are available from Monday to Friday, 5 to 9, right? Or either you can search the YouTube channel for the help. How do you search the YouTube channel? Let me just show you. Here is the YouTube. Let's just go to YouTube, open the YouTube, just write a lesson name over here. For example, you need help with the lesson we just did, integers on number line, right? So just write down the lesson name over here, integers on number line, followed by the channel name, that is A plus classes. Just click on the search button and you can find the lesson. That's the lesson I did earlier. That's the lesson I did earlier, grade 7. I did earlier 3 weeks ago, right? So you can just go through all the lesson, and if you still need more help, you can join me either in the interactive session daily from 4 to 5 and from 9 to 10, right? Okay, then that's all for today. See you in the next session. Bye everyone.